Hi, this is Jed Wonderly, and I'm coming at you again with another episode of my thoughts and analysis on, what's going to happen with Utah football this week. I got to come up with a title for that. I haven't come up with a title. I'm going to come up that next week. I'll have a title. Now. This is my third week of doing this, and I've been wrong the first two. I've lost the first two weeks that I've done it, and I don't think I have that much power. So I don't really think it's me. But if this continues to happen, I'm just going to have to take a week off and then see if they win. And if they win, and it'll be against a good team, and if they win, then maybe it is me. But I really don't think I have that much power. So, I was wrong about the Utes last week, and maybe if Rising started, we would have won, because we only had him for a quarter and about 5 minutes, and they did much better with Rising against San Diego State than they did with Brewer, who is no longer with the team, transferred so that he could get his year of sitting out, so that whatever school he transferred to, he can play the last part of that season, the last 9 games or so of that season. And so I get it, don't like it, but I get it. And I think we've got some competent backups. Hopefully we don't need them. Hopefully Rising can stay healthy. I really liked Rising from what little I've seen of him last year, and then again this last week. I think he's got a lot of potential. And I think with a full week of preparation as the QB number 1, that he'll probably even be a lot better this week than last week. Not to mention the fact that Washington State's defense is nowhere near what San Diego State's defense is. So, favored the last 2 games in a row, lost the last 2 games, not just didn't cover the spread, but lost the last 2 games. We are now 1-2. The Pac-12 has been horrendous in the first few weeks, and really bad in non-conference play. And even UCLA, who has been a surprise to the upside for the conference, they lost to Fresno State, and I think they proved that Fresno State's legitimate. They aren't just it wasn't just a fluke where they were really close and lost 31-24 against Oregon, who is now ranked 3rd. I picked the Pac-12 to go undefeated last week, and there was a lot of disappointments in the Pac-12. So we won't talk about that. We'll just focus on the upcoming game. We are 14.5-point favorites. Again, we are semi-decent point favorites. It's against Washington State, and we're finally back at home. So, finally back at home. As bad as our defensive line has played, first of all, we didn't give up a ton of points or yards. Gave up more points and yards than we should have to BYU with a normal defense. And we only gave up like 250 yards to, I think 249 actually, to San Diego State. 205 of that was on the ground. So, typically our run defense is really, really good. And not the case against San Diego State, because, again, our defensive line hasn't been doing what it's supposed to be and what it typically does. Now, that said, Viane Moala is out for the season, and Hautai Pututau was demoted to 2nd string. Based on the depth chart this week, we've got I can't remember. His name slips my mind. I don't have him pulled up. But it's along those lines. We have him starting at tackle. He used to be a linebacker, came in as a linebacker. He's now, I think he's 6'3" and up to like 290. And then we have Devin Kafusi, as the other starting tackle. So both of those guys were 2nd string, and so they've been tasked with starting. Hopefully, they're going to be energized by getting that that call to, step up their game and act like number ones, and hopefully they'll do something. Kafusi's a big guy, 6'7", 300. Still, those two players are on the lighter side of what our D tackles normally are. When you look at what we had with Leki Fotu and Star Lotulele and some of those guys, we've always, had guys that were 315, 320, 325. And these guys, the heaviest one is Kafusi at 300. So, but hopefully, their athleticism and quickness to go with their, with hopefully some good strength. Hopefully that'll all play out, and our defensive line will start to, come together. Mika's been playing pretty good, and then our ends on the other side with Fillinger and Carlton. They're both freshmen. They played last year, but they're still freshmen, and so it's going to be a work in progress, but like I say, hope we'll probably see some more depth. I'd love to see Samote Pepa, I think, or however you say his last name. I hope I didn't butcher that, but I think I've heard there was some talk in camp that he was just dominating people. The dude's 6'3", 350 pounds or so, and from what I heard, even at that size, he's not slow. So, it would be fun to see him play, but his name didn't even get mentioned from Witt in the press conference this week. So, anyway, there's that. So, hopefully our defensive line steps up. Our linebackers have been playing well. Lloyd had 13 tackles again. That guy's a tackling machine this year, and I can only wonder how many tackles he would have if the defensive line was doing what they normally do. From on the offensive side, wow, we thought they were bad against BYU. They were incredibly bad for the first 3 quarters against San Diego State. Now, when Rising came in, because he can run and he's mobile and such, that gave a different dynamic to our offense and helped out our defensive line a little bit. They didn't look as bad with Rising in there. They were also energized with Rising coming in. I think he's a team captain, and the fact that he's a captain and a leader and has been in the program, invested for this is his 3rd year. I think that a lot of the players really respect him, and they did step up their game because of that. So pray that our offensive line can make a noticeable improvement this week. And with a rebuilding Washington State team, I'm going to say, I would love to say that we cover the spread. I'd like to see our running backs do a little better than we did last week. Our running game was pathetic last week. I'd love to see Cam pass for 250 plus yards, maybe close to 300. The more the better. But I don't want it to be from a need basis. I don't want it to be because we're trying to come from behind at all. I don't want that. I want it just as part of the normal offense. And I'd love to see, close to 200 yards rushing, if not more. I'd love to see Mekhi Bernard, have another big game. He had some disappointing statistics last week. 17 rushes for 47 yards. That's not, what he's been doing. The other thing is he whiffed badly on some blocks, when he was supposed to be picking up the blitz. And he acknowledged that, and he said, that was bad, and, we really need to get more proficient and be much better, the whole running back group. So I do think, we're back at home. They're going to be energized by the home crowd. The home crowd is going to want to be behind them to really give them that little push to get them back on the winning track. After this week, we've got a bye, and then it's, at USC. USC played pretty well last week, and it won, I believe, 45-14. So, if we could play well this week and show some improvement, and then have a week off and work on some things, and then in the following week prep for USC. I really hope, and again, not confident in this because of how we've played so far, but I hope that we could turn the corner and, somehow pick up a win. We've got some key injuries. I talked about Mawala. Also, Jatravis Broughton is gone for the season. He was a, Pac-12 corner. He's out. But Fabian Marks, who's his replacement, is, has scored well on the PFF numbers, and he's seems like he's a good young player. He's a freshman, but he played well last game, and let's hope that he can hold his own against some of these. USC always has these big, fast receivers, so that's going to be, a true test for him. And then after that, the week after that, we've got Arizona State, who did about the same as we did against BYU. In fact, the score was only 1 point different. It was 27-17 against, with Arizona State and BYU, and it was 26-17 with us. So it'll be interesting to see how that game works out. We're at home, so hopefully we can win that. Hopefully, worst case scenario, we'll be 3-3 after that. But if we could be 4-2, that would get us off to a really good start in the conference, and then maybe we could start thinking about redeeming our season. But that's a long way away. Not really from a time perspective, but from a fan perspective, that's a long way away, and we've got to, hope that our team can make some improvements and really show some fight. They had that players meeting on Sunday, and supposedly it seemed like there were some things cleared up, and they're all on the same page, and they all want to fight and do what they can to turn this ship around and whatnot. So anyway, that's that. I don't even know what my record was last week. I didn't check. I just know it was pathetic with a capital P. So let's go over this week. I am going to predict, and I will be right with this prediction. I know it. I can feel it in my bones. I will be right with this prediction, and that is that the Pac-12 will go 6-6 this week. 6-6. They will lose 6 times. 6 of the teams will lose. I just feel it. I don't know what it is, but I would take money to Vegas and bet that the Pac-12 is going to go 6-6. Now, if you have to bet which teams are going to win, then not so sure. But let's give it a go. Okay, Washington State at Utah. Already told you, Utah, 14.5 point spread. They haven't covered it at all this season, and in fact, twice when they were favored, they lost. I got to get them in the winning column for that. To be honest, I don't think they're going to do it. But the optimist in me is going to say they're going to do it. So I'm going with they're covering the spread. And, Washington will be happy walking out of the stadium. I got me and 3 other family members going. My wife can't go this week because of some other obligations she has, but 4 of us will be there rooting our hearts out, cheering our hearts out, and hopefully coming away very happy fans. Okay, UCLA at Stanford. Man, UCLA looked good. Stanford sucked, and then they beat pretty handily SC at SC. So who knows? Who are these teams for real? It's at Stanford. I don't know. UCLA is favored by 4.5. UCLA will probably be a little upset that they lost to a G5 team in Fresno State, even though Fresno State is now ranked 22nd. So, nope. Didn't have a coin, so I can't do that. So I'm going to go with UCLA for the revenge. Cal at Washington. Washington is 1-2. They are favored by 7.5. Cal did show out to be better last week than they had the previous weeks, or at least I can't remember who else they played. But they are 1-2. They lost last week, but it was close. I'm going to go with Washington. It'd be interesting to see how many points Washington scores, but I'm going to go with Washington. Arizona at Oregon. Arizona, easy. I mean, Oregon, they're ranked third. They're looking past Arizona to whoever they play in the next game. Arizona's going to surprise them and possibly not lose by 30. The line is 28.5. I think Oregon covers that. Arizona did not look good when they played San Diego State, and I can't remember who they played last week. But, Oregon's got that for sure. Oregon State at USC. USC, like I said, looked pretty good last week. Probably rallying around the interim coach. I still don't know who that is. Haven't bothered to look it up. I'm going to go with USC. Point spread's 10.5. Oregon State, they're playing well under their new coach, who was, I think, their first year was 2 years ago, maybe. I can't remember if it was last year or 2 years ago. But they're 2-1. Don't know who they've beaten. But definitely USC, and probably cover the spread on that one. And then the last game is Colorado at Arizona State. Also a 14.5 point spread. I think Arizona State's going to want to get back on the winning track. They're at home. I think they're going to take Colorado out. Colorado will be 1-3, and Arizona will be 3-1 after that game. So that's my thoughts. Please like and subscribe. Love to hear your comments. Feel free to let me know what you guys think about the Utah game and any other Pac-12 games. This video is brought to you by Noble Home Loans. That's the company I work for. And if you or anybody needs a mortgage or would like, have questions about a mortgage or anything like that, please feel free to call me. My number is 702-812-1214. Lived in Nevada for 18 years and kept my cell phone. I've been back in Utah since 2015 and here in Cottonwood Heights. And Saturday up at the game. So we'll see you then, and go Utes.